Bill O'Reilly here. Welcome to the No Spin News for Tuesday, August 23rd, 2022. Stand up for your country. Well, here comes the spin. And for the next 2.5 months, that's all you're going to get. Because the midterm elections are vital for the United States of America, and the left, the Democratic Party, they sense they may get hammered in the vote in November. So you're going to hear a bunch of stuff, which I'm going to run down in a moment. It's already started. But you should understand that this is just going to be a mass campaign of deception. So for me, in my life, I don't like to be deceived. And I don't really tolerate it. If somebody deceives me, they better be pretty sorry and explain why they did what they did, or I'm not going to talk to them again. And, you know, my children have been taught deception is one of the worst things you can do. It's different than lying. Deception is basically a pattern, a well thought out pattern of misleading someone, exploiting someone. That's what's going to happen. Now, tomorrow we're going to have Newt Gingrich on here. He had a pretty good idea because he went through this while he was Speaker of the House. So that'll be a good interview. That's tomorrow. But the subject of the Talking Points memo tonight is in the current deceptive atmosphere in which we all live. Now, there are two things that the left has to accomplish. It has to convince most American voters that Joe Biden's on the rebound. He's making a comeback. Yes, it was rough. It wasn't really his fault, though. It was COVID, it was Trump, it was Putin, it was this one, that one. But now Joe has got it together, and he's coming back strong, and he's going to rebuild better, or whatever they want to say. That's number one. And you're going to hear it over and over and over again, not by paid political announcements, but on newscasts and networks. You're going to hear that every day. Second one is that polling is going to come out, selective polling, that's going to make Biden and the Democrats look good. You already see it. And, it's tight, the race is tightening up. And, the Democrats have a better chance of winning than they did. And now they're going to win. And you're going to just see that every single day. So Biden good, coming back. Polling shows the Democrats on the march. That's what you're going to see. Last night was a good example. It was almost like a kickoff. So there is a woman named Yamiche Alcindor. You may remember her. She was a White House correspondent, far, far left woman, hates Trump, hates it. And she was working for NPR. Now NBC News has hired her. Still does some work for NPR, but she's an NBC Washington correspondent. It's unbelievable that they would hire a Trump hater. I don't mind her being hired as a commentator, but as a reporter, come on. The poll this week that we reported on showed 74% of the American people feel the country's going in the wrong direction, which it is. There's no doubt it. But here's what Ms. Alcindor said. Go.
They're very worried, especially about former President Trump possibly coming back into power, or former President Trump or another Republican stealing the election in 2022 or 2024, because we've seen so many election deniers be elected. So a lot of Democrats on the Democratic side, they're very worried about abortion also and abortion rights. And then on the Republican side, I can tell you that I'm also hearing from people that, especially some that are unfortunately believing conspiracy theories and lies about the election of 2020, they're worried that the country is going in the wrong direction because they're seeing too many people say that the election was free and fair, which of course it was.
So no economy, no inflation, no open border, no rising violent crime. No, none of that. None of that factors into Americans feeling their country's going in the wrong direction. No. All about Trump and the election deniers. It's so absurd, it's so foolish that if I were teaching a class in political science, Ms. Alcindor would get an F because she's either not intellectually capable of taking the class or she's a liar. I mean, way down the list is politics and people feeling the country's going in the wrong directions. It's all about their personal situation and what they see happening before their very eyes. Anyway, keep it here on BillO'Reilly.com on the 1st on our 300 radio stations, and we will tell you the truth about the upcoming election. All right? Even if I don't like it, I'm going to tell you the truth. And that is the talking points memo for this evening. George Soros. This guy is just the Energizer Bunny, okay? So he's worth $8.6 billion, and he gives away hundreds of millions of dollars to promote left-wing causes. Here is the latest, according to Federal Election Commission filings. Soros in July, all right, a few days ago, steered $2.5 million into Senator Schumer's Political Action Committee so that the Senate would stay Democrat in November. A guy named James Simons, a billionaire, he added to that amount, so that's $5 million went into Schumer's control just in July. Okay? Overall, this year, Schumer has $73 million to spend helping Democratic senatorial candidates, far more than any Republican PAC has. So you can see the money imbalance. And the money comes from Soros and his hedge fund people and Hollywood. Massive amounts of money coming out of Hollywood to fund the Democrats. So far, Soros is up to $10 million of his own money, charitable money, because he can write all this off, to influence the 2022 elections. I'd say there's going to be triple that before November rolls around. Now, a lot of people are outraged. How can he do this? How come it's not illegal? Well, in 2010, January, Citizens United versus the Federal Election Commission was decided by the Supreme Court 5-4 that the free speech clause of the First Amendment prohibits government from restricting independent donations to political campaigns. Now, there are rules. You can't give the money directly to the people, but you give it to their political action committee. Trump does this too. Trump's raised a lot of money in this, and there are no restrictions, none. But you should know the money behind the scenes is heavy, heavy Soros money. This guy's done so much damage to this country, I can't even tell you. Where's Joe? Where's Joe Biden? Where is he? This is great. 13 days, banished. Now, you remember when Obama went on vacation in Martha's Vineyard, Trump down in Florida, wherever Trump was, in New Jersey playing golf. Pictures of them golfing, Obama running around the bookstores, getting an ice cream cone, whatever, right? Pictures of presidents on vacation. Not Joe. Joe's gone. So we haven't heard from Joe in 13 days, and we don't know when we're going to hear from him again, because the No Spin News staff checks in every day with the White House. What's the schedule? And the White House doesn't know. However, the Washington Post is reporting that on Thursday, Joe's going to show up in Rockville, Maryland for a rally. Okay. But then he's going to disappear again because he's got nothing on his schedule for next week and nothing before Labor Day. But after Labor Day, on September 15th, the president will hold a United We Stand summit at the White House. Okay, so the United We Stand summit is in response to a number of hate-fueled attacks during the Biden administration. The event will include a bipartisan group of federal, state, and local officials, civil rights groups, business leaders, and they're all going to go, we have to stand together. On what? Open border? Forget it. 10% inflation? No. Thousands of minorities being murdered in the streets of our largest cities? No, I'm not standing together. Airline industry falling apart? No. Yesterday, JetBlue, 50% of all their flights were late, delayed. 50. JetBlue. Okay, so this is just propaganda. But the important question is, why is Joe Biden being kept hidden? Number one, the Trump raid. Okay, Trump raid. That wasn't good for Biden. I'll tell you why in a moment. Number two, the more they hide him, the better his poll numbers are. The more people see of the president, the lower his numbers get. So he's gone. In addition to that, a new survey out today from Price Waterhouse says that 50% of all U.S. firms are anticipating layoffs or hiring freeze. Wow. All right. It is pretty shocking. We're talking about Ford, HBO, Spotify, Walmart, Best Buy. They're all going to lay off people. Now, what does that do? That goes right into a recession. High inflation, fewer jobs, that's recession. So that's coming. And I guess we're going to stand together on that on September 15th. I don't know what we're going to stand together on. We're going to be laying off hundreds of thousands of workers. That's not good. Does inflation and the looming prospect of recession have you worried about your savings? Endowments, pension funds, and the ultra wealthy have been quietly investing in farmland for decades, and it's paying off for them. Farmland returns have averaged 11% per year for the last 30 years, even despite the dot-com crash, Great Recession, and COVID-19. When inflation goes up, so too does farmland value. Until recently, farmland investments have mostly been accessible only to institutions and elites. Acre Trader breaks this barrier. Acre Trader makes it easy to invest in thoroughly reviewed farm offerings, quickly and securely. Their team of agriculture experts does all the work while you collect passive income from your farmland investment. So put your money in a time-tested asset by visiting acretrader.com, or you can call 888-958-1470 and tell them O'Reilly sent you. That's acretrader.com. All right, Donald Trump. So he files a lawsuit yesterday, 27-page lawsuit. And he asks the U.S. District Judge Aileen Cannon to stop the Department of Justice from going through the materials seized at Mar-a-Lago. Okay? Trump was a quote-unquote special master appointed to protect his constitutional rights and go through the stuff. Now, in response to our reporting, and this is absolutely true last week with Brett Tallman, when Tallman said, hey, the FBI didn't put a taint team in before the raid, a taint team being agents going in to see if there's any confidential documents from attorney-client or from executive privilege, the FBI is not entitled to see. That's a taint team. Well, the FBI didn't do that, which taints the whole raid. Well, now the FBI announces today, well, we have a taint team now looking at it. Well, no. You should never have taken those documents out of Trump's home if there was attorney-client privilege in them. No, you don't do it after the fact, but because we reported this and it got out everywhere, now the FBI goes, oh, we got the taint team now going over it. And Trump says, this is all BS, files a lawsuit, wants a special master. Okay. John Solomon does some excellent reporting today. He is at justthenews.com. You should go there. So somebody leaked confidential White House memos to Solomon. Memos to Solomon, okay? In those memos, it shows White House counsel to Biden saying to the Justice Department, Merrick Garland, Attorney General, it's okay for you to go and raid Trump because Biden's going to revoke his executive privilege. That's pretty stunning. It's in writing. So Biden and his counsel are telling Garland to raid Trump's house. I told you at the beginning this is going to be a Biden-Trump thing because there's no way Merrick Garland, who comes off as a weasel, is going to do anything without Biden knowing about it. But now we have it in writing thanks to John Solomon. And those memos are pretty shocking. So justthenews.com. All right, the mayor of Washington, D.C., Muriel Bowser, asked the Pentagon for National Guard to help with the 7,000 migrants bused to D.C. from Texas. Second time, Pentagon says, no, not going to send troops in to help you. Okay. So Bowser doesn't know what to do. D.C. much smaller than New York, and New York's got about 1,000. D.C.'s got 7,000. New York's having trouble, and it's 5 times the size of Washington. So this migrant thing is off the charts. And there is a group called the Center for Immigration Studies that knows more about it than any other group in the country. And we're pleased to have its executive director, Mark Krikorian, joining us from Washington this evening. So I understand there is a new policy from the Biden administration about how federal agents and agencies should deal with foreign nationals who cross our border illegally. Can you explain that to us?
What it amounts to is that this administration is trying to turn the federal government into an illegal alien sanctuary, just like California and New York and what have you. So the issue here is that ICE, the immigration agency, will send what's called a detainer to another law enforcement agency that has in its custody a deportable alien, somebody they arrested for other reasons, drug dealing, drunk driving, whatever. And what that order that's called a detainer is the shorthand name, and it's based on a law Congress has passed that says, please hold on to this person for up to 48 hours after you're done with him so that we can come and pick him up. Because a law enforcement agency can't hold people after, they've finished with them, they have to let them go. Congress has said, with this exception, they can hold on to them until ICE comes and gets them, up to 2 days. What this new policy is one federal agency, the Marshal Service, part of the Justice Department, is now not going to honor, not going to pay attention to these orders from ICE and just let illegal aliens go, even though they're deportable. But once the Marshal Service is done with them, they said they're not holding on to them for ICE to come and pick them up. This is unprecedented, where one federal agency is refusing to cooperate with another sister federal agency. And it's a logical development from this administration's opposition to the very idea of enforcing immigration laws.
Okay, so both ICE and the Marshal Service are under Merrick Garland, the Attorney General, the Department of Justice.
No,
so
Garland, ICE is in DHS. It used to be part
Homeland
of
Security.
Justice.
Homeland Security. Right. Okay. So Garland would have to sign off on this. Mayorkas, the Homeland Security Secretary, would have to sign off on it. And of course, President Biden would have to sign off on it. All three of those men would have to say, yeah, this is what we want. Go ahead.
Absolutely, they have to. This is not some accidental thing that some bureaucrat happens to have done and that nobody, higher up knows about. This is part of the Biden administration perspective that immigration law itself, the idea of immigration laws, are illegitimate, and they refuse to enforce them. They consider them wrong. Congress passed them. They think they should not exist, and so they're simply not enforcing them.
Okay. So this is an ideological belief that overrides the constitutional imperative that President Biden uphold the laws of the United States. I think Biden may be well impeached on this if Republicans take the House in November. But let's put that aside for the moment. The message that every federal agent is getting is that their bosses, their superiors, they really don't want them to bother the illegal aliens. Once they get here, they should be able to do what they want to do, correct?
Absolutely. That's what it amounts to. The president, when he was running for office, he said he doesn't think anybody should be deported who's an illegal alien, even if they have committed crimes like drunk driving. Basically, they say only illegal immigrants who have, drawn blood, who have killed or raped someone.
Violent crimes.
Right.
Okay, so this story about the U.S. Marshals not honoring requests from Homeland Security has gotten almost zero publicity. Would that be accurate?
Yeah, very little. There was a story in the Washington Times. We wrote about it in the New York Post, but beyond that, it doesn't seem to have gotten a lot of traction. And this is the kind of thing Republicans in Congress should be, raising a ruckus about to sort of cut it off at the pass.
The Republican Party is, let's Maybe they'll mobilize after Labor Day, but right now, they're like that. But the greater point is that the American press doesn't want to report things like this. Any negativity on the border, they're going to ignore because it makes the Biden administration look bad in the eyes of independent voters. That's what it's all about, is it not?
I mean, it's a combination, I think. It's both that the regular media, the legacy media, is protective of the administration. They're covering for them. But the other thing is that they consider illegal immigrants a kind of protected class that, are sort of a victim class and have to be protected, and that that supporting enforcement of immigration laws they consider as somehow like punching down or something, whatever the term is they would use.
The term is repressive.
Right. Exactly.
And that's what they do. Final question. From your data and your experience in this area, do you feel most Americans want an open border?
No, certainly not. When you ask them, there's no question they don't want an open border. And yet, I don't know why this hasn't resonated more. I mean, it does resonate a lot, but I think when you add it on top of gas prices and eggs cost twice as much and all the rest of it, it adds to it, but it almost gets crowded out because there's so much other terrible news caused by this administration that it maybe doesn't get the attention that it really needs.
But if the Biden administration understands that the open border is not a popular issue, why would they keep pushing it? What's in it for them politically to keep pushing? This may well sink Joe Biden. It might, if it ever gets traction.
Yeah, I think some people who imagine that this is a kind of part of a plan to import Democratic voters, maybe, but I don't think that's what's at the core of this. I think this is an ideological belief that borders are morally wrong and that the American people, even if they vote for it, have no right to keep anybody out. That's the basic worldview of the people who run immigration in this administration. Nobody agrees with that except a handful of people like them, but they're the ones in charge. They're the ones setting policy.
All right, Mr. Krikorian, thank you very much for helping us out. Really appreciate your time. Hey, Bill O'Reilly here. Things are very tough in America, as we all know. Gas prices up 59%, food up 10%. And have you taken a look at your cable bill recently? Some of us are paying more than $150 a month. That's why I am excited about the streaming platform Vidgo, Vidgo. Vidgo gives you the freedom to be entertained at a price you can afford. Vidgo has all of my favorite live sports networks. They have a great choice of news programming, including The First, Newsmax, OAN, and Fox. Vidgo also has more than 100 channels of entertainment. All of that for just $59 a month for the base package, $79 for the premium package. You deserve the freedom to be entertained at a price you and your family can afford. Please sign up at vidgo.com/bill. All right, here is the final thought of the day. So as you know, an outfit called Vidgo, V-I-G-O, V as in Victor, I-D-G-O, vidgo.com/bill. All right, that is our streaming service partner. Tomorrow we give you the stats about how network and cable programming is falling apart. It's amazing. A huge shift in this country as far as people entertainment because they can't afford $200 in cable bills. I mean, they can't afford it. So anyway, Vidgo gives you, I think it's $59 and $79 packages, and you get a lot of great stuff. One of the new things that Vidgo is going to do is hire me to do a weekly program. Now, I'm not going to tell you what it is until after Labor Day. That'll be our big push. But I will tell you it is based upon Mike Wallace's 1950 show, Night Beat. Mike Wallace, as many of you know, was the guy that I emulated in my career. He was the best interviewer, absorber of information, whatever it may be. He had a show called Night Beat in the 50s. I am resurrecting that show. It's not going to be called Night Beat, because I think CBS owns that. But it's going to be very similar to it. That is going to be broadcast on Vidgo exclusively. Okay, so we have signed the deal with them. We will use snippets on BillO'Reilly.com. All right, you'll see what we're doing, but not the whole show. Now, I'm pretty much finished with taping the first episode of this. Oh boy, it is something that you have never seen. And we're going to try to do that. We're going to try to give you a unique, just like I did with the O'Reilly Factor, when I roared on the scene in 1996, and I did something nobody had ever done in television news. We're doing the same thing with Vidgo in a different format. And I think the once a week program, I'm not going to tell you what it's called, but the name is pretty inflammatory. You're going to be very happy. So if you want to get ahead of the crew, put up the Vidgo logo there. We'll read it for the all radio listeners across the country. It's Vidgo, vidgo.com/Bill. And they will show you and tell you what they have. And we will begin this weekly program in mid-September. Boy, September is going to be a bear. It really is. Anyway, the reason we're doing all these projects is because as the media gets worse, and boy it is, I feel a responsibility to at least give you an alternative, you know? And I hope you will spread the word, very important, that you tell your family and friends about our operation here and all the things that we are doing. Honest reporting, smart life. Now we're going to have a weekly program in addition to the daily program. On the radio, we're going great guns with our radio affiliate, WABC in New York City. Very powerful presence at 9 in the evening there. Everything is working. But I said, look, rather than cut back my workload, because the country's in such bad shape, and it is in bad shape, I'm going to give it one more push to try to get us back on track here, because we are going in the wrong direction. The United States of America is not prospering now. And I'm one of the voices that I think can turn it around at least somewhat. But it all depends on you getting the word out to others. And I can't tell you how important that is. And we have the product to back it up. And it's reasonably priced. Vidgo will save you money. BillO'Reilly.com, it's a pittance because you get free books when you sign up or re-up. I mean, it's like nothing. So anyway, there's my pitch. Thank you for listening to it. We'll see you again tomorrow. Inflation at its highest level in 40 years. Interest rates skyrocketing. We all know that. Market experts like Jamie Dimon, CEO of JP Morgan, not only predict a recession, but are using scary terms like economic hurricane and unprecedented. So, you need to call the only precious metal dealer I trust, American Hartford Gold. They will show you how to protect your savings and retirement accounts by diversifying your portfolio with physical gold and silver. Please call them today, and they will have physical gold and silver delivered right to your door or put inside your IRA or 401k. They have thousands of satisfied customers, are the highest rated firm in the country with an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau. Tell them Bill O'Reilly sent you, and they'll give you up to $2,500 of free silver on your first order. Please call 866-501-5201, 866-501-5201, or text BILL to 65532. Again, 866-501-5201, or text BILL to 65532.